Finally, all 8 episodes of the latest addition to the Alien franchise, Alien Earth, have been released online and the reviews are in. Critics seem to absolutely love it, while the audience scores are a little bit more mixed, but overall the general consensus seems to be positive. On the other hand, you have the YouTube critics of this world, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the critical drinker. He gets millions of views on his videos, and he has made a review on Alien Earth. Whether you like the show or not, I'm going to tell you why I think he is completely wrong in his review, why some of what he says is completely messed up, and I'm also going to tell you what I think the real problem of the show is.
Yeah, there were definitely problems with it. The plot relied on a metric ton of conveniences and contrivances, and a lot of the characters showed about as much real-world intelligence and common sense as your average liberal arts graduate.
So, straight off the bat, the critical drinker seems to be pretty upset that the show has a lot of plot contrivances. I would actually agree with him somewhat with that. I do think there is some parts of this show and coincidences that are just a little bit too hard to believe, some characters with some pretty noticeable plot armor, so I can agree with that. But in terms of the characters being incredibly unintelligent, I think he's completely missing the point that the majority of the characters in this show are actually children. They are children who have had their consciousness put into android bodies, so I think of course they're not going to make the smartest decision. For me, the character decisions weren't something that stood out to me as ridiculously stupid. I did think it was somewhat believable. But I think what's more important here is you can clearly see the critical drinker using his review, even from the very start, as a bit of a Trojan horse for his own conservative political views, because he's putting in that swipe saying that, oh, the characters are as intelligent as a liberal arts graduate, which of course is this whole argument that, oh, if you study arts or you lean left wing, you're dumb. And I really think that it just weakens the conservative argument if you're just going to label a whole group of people as stupid. I think if he was interested in actually having a debate about these ideologies, you would be coming up with some kind of intellectual reason as to why the common beliefs of liberal arts graduates are incorrect, rather than just putting this side swipe kind of joke in there. But, you know, again, maybe it's just a joke. So I guess, yeah, you'd give him a little bit of benefit of the doubt there. On a bit of a side note, if you're interested in learning more about how these conservative film reviewers often seem to use their reviews as a Trojan horse for their political views, my friend Django Disc made a great video on that, which you can click in the card above.
This show might well be the biggest, most soulless, utterly pointless and retarded piece of shit in the entire Alien franchise.
Well, I don't think giving the critical drinker the benefit of the doubt was gonna last very long, because the way that he starts speaking about this show and he just starts running his mouth, look, you can swear all you like, but it kind of gives me a bit of an icky feeling, and I think it weakens his own sort of, if he wanted to make some kind of genuine criticism of the show, instead he's just resorting to swearing about it, and then calling it soulless as well. I don't really see where he's coming from with this, because I think there is a lot of soulless rubbish that gets released these days. For your words and criticism to have impact on those shows, you need to use them at the right time. And I think even if you just look at something like the production design in this show, I think you can see that somebody who really cares about the Alien franchise and some of the continuity in the lore, they have put a lot of effort into making this. So I think by definition, that just means that the show isn't soulless. And I also think that it's a bit of a joke when he says that this is some of the worst in the Alien franchise. I mean, has this guy watched the 4th Alien film?
So, who do I have to fuck to get off this boat?
Or has he seen the Alien vs. Predator movies? I mean, I don't think they are horrible, but they're definitely a lot worse than this show.
And wouldn't you know it, Wendy's brother also happens to be on the same mission because the ship almost crashed into the building that he was on, and I think he's got a name of some sort, but since the actor makes Will Wheaton look like the fucking Giga Chad, I'm just gonna call him Pussy Boy from now on.
Good idea.
So Wendy rescues Pussy Boy from the xenomorph, because Disney.
Okay, so at this point, are we really that sensitive that we cannot have a male character saved by a female character? Because it seems like for some reason the critical drinker is so angry about this. He says because Disney, implying probably a bunch of pent-up hate about Star Wars The Last Jedi and having the main character be a strong female, and he's feeling like the same thing is happening here and it's something that Disney does regularly. Look, I don't think Rey was the greatest character. She did annoy me a bit, but I think Wendy here is a good character, and I don't see why we would have any problem with her saving her brother from a xenomorph because she is an android who actually has superhuman strength and abilities. I don't see why that's something to get so angry about and be frustrated that the character of Joe isn't as strong as you want him to be. Again, is it because he's a man he has to be strong and you can't have a weak male character? You know, I just don't really understand that. And even if that is your problem, I don't think Joe is shown to be a weak character either. I think he actually shows quite a lot of bravery. And the way he's talking about it, it's like he's just trying to hit all of these non-PC buzzwords, you know, and I think if you're relying on that as the crutch for your review, I think you're just weakening your own argument by adding in all of those things. I just think it's completely unnecessary, and surely you can articulate your point without using some of that language, which I do think does have a bit of a sexist undertone.
But let's be honest, her friend is without doubt one of the most aesthetically upsetting individuals I've seen outside of Bella Ramsey. She looks like Sydney Sweeney got stung in the face by a swarm of bees and went into anaphylactic shock. I mean, Jesus, this is prestige TV we're talking about right here. Are you really telling me this is the best you could find?
Well, if you thought what I said before about the Critical Drinkers review having sexist undertones, I think now we can agree that this is genuinely straight up misogyny. I don't think that you can cover this up as being, yeah, haha, it's dark humor, it's edgy. Trust me, guys, I like dark humor, I like edginess, but this is just, I think it's disgusting and I think it's offensive to take an actress and be critiquing her for her looks, saying that she's not aesthetically pleasing enough for you. I think it is just incredibly gross, and surely we should be better at this. I can't believe that this video almost has 1 million views with so many comments agreeing with him. Surely if we want to have genuine criticism of this show, we should be talking about this actress's acting ability. Like, I don't understand what her looks has anything to do with it, and who the hell is the critical drinker to even say what conventionally attractive is. I think that is genuinely sexist and misogynistic, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you see him making the same criticisms about male actors. And also, if you want to make the devil's advocate argument and say, oh, well, they're androids and they should be these 100% conventionally attractive, model-looking actresses, I just think, is that really something to get upset about in this show? I don't think there's any kind of canonic reason why they need to look a certain way. It just seems like there's the only reason to get upset about that is because you have something wrong within you about how you view women. For anyone out there that wants to go and claim that the critical drinker is actually this really reasonable guy that has some genuine takes, and yes, he has a few little moments of dark humor, show them that clip, or maybe show them this next one.
So that it can kill everyone in the facility and protect them while she escapes the island with Pussy Boy and Ugly Bitch.
Calling an actress that in a video, especially where you know that you're going to clock in 1 million views or close to it, I don't think there's any excuse for that. I don't think it's funny. I don't want to go and be the joke police and say, oh, you can say this, you can't say that. But I just think surely it's common sense that saying that is offensive and it's not right.
The flashback episode to the doomed spaceship is probably the worst example of this. It's like a rehash of the first Alien movie, except if the crew of the Nostromo actually knew what the alien was ahead of time, had a bunch of weapons and equipment specifically designed to subdue it, but somehow lost anyway because they were complete and total morons. It's so laughably bad, I actually found myself rooting for the Xenomorph after a while.
I think episode 5 was actually one of the best episodes. He's complaining about how they had all these equipment to actually stop the xenomorphs, and yes, that is true, they did, but he's also conveniently ignoring the fact that there are a bunch of other alien parasites loose on the ship, which also caused a lot of problems, plus the saboteur. I thought all of those elements were mixed into that episode really cleverly, so I don't think you can say, oh, the characters were just so dumb and it was unbelievable.
And if I had to say one solitary good thing about this show, the production designers at least deserve some kind of award for their work because it looks good if nothing else.
Well, if we can agree on one thing, at least both of us agree that the production design in this show is freaking awesome. It's so good. So overall though, you're probably thinking, alright, well, what did I think was the real problem with the show? The thing that actually really annoyed me was a scene in the last episode where Wendy's having a go at her brother Joe, saying, oh, why did you shoot my friend?
Fucked up, I didn't know what else to do.
It's gross and complicated. That is what powerless people say to make doing nothing okay.
That kind of philosophy is something that I do really disagree with. I really don't like this idea of shaming people that, oh, if you didn't take active action, you're evil or there's something wrong with you and look at how good I am because I'm actually doing something. I think the show had a bit of that tone in the last episode, which, yeah, I really didn't like. And for me, that's when it got a bit on the nose and I was like, okay, that's a bit too much. All up to that point, I actually thought it had some good messaging around sort of corporate control. And it seems like the critical drinker, he hates big corporations like Disney, right? And how they're supposedly strip mining previous IPs and making money. I can agree with some of that. You know, I'm not a fan of these big soulless corporations like Disney necessarily. But overall, I think this show is good. It was entertaining, it had some brutal, horrific moments, it expanded on the lore, it added these new parasites and creatures, it did so many things, it had so many layers. So overall, I'd probably give Alien Earth a 4 out of 5, maybe a 3.5, little bit undecided there, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm really looking forward to Season 2. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to see more of my thoughts on why the critical drinker is wrong about Alien Earth, going through a bunch of the other points that he makes about the show and why I disagree with them, you can go and check that out on my Patreon. It is live. But otherwise, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.